Welcome back, everybody. It's rare in life, never mind acting, that somebody gets a chance to be at a job for 17 years. Our next guest has managed that and became a star during it. Please welcome NCIS alum Sean Murray.
How are you, Alan?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for jumping on. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So you started acting early. I think your first credit was when you were 11. And then when you were 15, you were already a regular on Hearts of the West along Bow Bridges. And you also did This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro. So you get to work with the heavyweights right off the bat. What, if anything, did you learn from them that you're utilizing to this day?
Well, yeah, there were definitely some heavyweights that I worked with early on. Um, De Niro, in This Boy's Life, De Niro, obviously incredible. I didn't have any scenes with him, unfortunately.
Right.
I did have experience, though. I was up for the lead, which, of course, Leo DiCaprio got. But
Yeah.
I was up for the lead and went in and read with De Niro
Oh.
at Warner Brothers on a Saturday morning. It was down to 4 or 5 of us for the lead, and of course I didn't get it. I ended up doing a smaller role in the picture, but I got to be in a room with De Niro and do scenes. That's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah. And again, you've mentioned Leo. Leo and Toby Maguire.
Mhm.
I think Eliza Dushku. All of those folks were right there on that movie. So must have been fun working with the guys all around that same age. Eliza is a little younger than you are. Leo and Toby are both a little older, but
Little older,
it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat, and I knew those guys from the auditioning circuit. The kind of young actor pool
Yeah.
is, at least at the time, was kind of small, and everyone kind of knew each other. So I knew those guys, and so getting to work with Leo was great. And I remember going out to do my first scene with him. Well, the one big sequence with him, and I knew he was going to do really well. I knew he was a star in the making. He had all the ingredients. I could just tell. I could vibe it, and he's
Yeah.
done okay.
I think so. Yeah. If I'm
Yeah.
10 or 5 or even 1% as lucky, I think I'll be good with that.
Oh my
Um,
God, are you kidding? Yeah.
yeah, it's I actually, from the Leo's perspective, watching the his latest project, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and watching him, I really got to appreciate even more of how talented he is. It's something,
Totally
something.
agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I think his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is fantastic, and I haven't seen someone portray an actor and the insecurities of an actor so well
Yeah.
in something that I can remember. But I actually love that movie. I've seen it probably 6 or 7 times at this point. It's kind of out of control.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you. On one of your earliest projects, you got a chance to work with Mark Harmon on an episode of Hearts of the West.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that Mark is somebody you'd be working with 10 years later and for a long time since then?
Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of come full circle with Harmon there,
Mhm.
and he made an impression on me, quite an impression on me when he came on and did a role on Hearts of the West. It was a show that I did. I was 15 years old, I think 15, 16. We did one season of it,
Yeah.
and but he made a real impression on me. I had a few scenes with him, and we talked quite a bit about craft and things, and so I don't know, being able to work with him again all these years later is just great. And he's been a bit of a mentor to me, whether he knows it or not.
Well, he's somebody I admire, and to the point where he's seen in The West Wing in the last episode where he gets shot. I still can bring myself up to watch that because I'm so hurt by it. So it's
Yeah, that got a lot of people. That
yeah.
one got a lot of people. Yeah, he's
So
good.
again, it's acting as since you were a kid. What is your process, and has it evolved since you started again at 11?
Yeah, I guess I think I was 11 when I started, 12, somewhere in there.
Yep.
It's it's funny, you know, when I started, I think it was much more. I never took acting classes or any lessons or anything, so I kind of learned on the job as I went. I was
Yeah.
actually in a background on a film called My Blue Heaven, and there were
Mhm.
two kids about my same age that had main roles in the film, and I was seated right behind them, so I spent the day kind of with them filming. And during the day, I mean, after the day, I sort of went, you know what, I can do that. I want to do that.
Nice.
And uh, it went from there. And uh, sorry, what was the original question? I go off on tangents like this
No,
sometimes.
it's great. The question dealt with your process. Since you started so early, how was your
Right.
process in terms of
I,
acting evolved?
it's hard to remember, but I kind of recall there was more of a kind of an imitation,
Mhm.
uh, uh, a miming and imitation kind of vibe to what I was doing. I grew up on television and films,
Yeah.
so I had a lot of things in my head. You know, all the, you know, we grow up with all of this, and I think it was more of kind of an imitation of characters, things that I'd seen. It developed, you know, my process developed. It's always developing, I think. I think, you know, as an actor, you're always, you know, hoping that you're growing and
Yeah.
learning new things. It's gone away from the sort of the imitation and more towards the more imaginative aspect of things for me. You know, I approach things. The text is really important to me. Uh, I think it's for me. I felt that it's very comfortable. The best thing for me is to be very comfortable in a good headspace, comfortable, relaxed, and to kind of play inside the text and kind of see imagination wise where it takes you. And you know, there's a great thing with film and television where, you know, if it goes horribly wrong, you can always try it again.
Yep. You get multiple takes.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. There's a safety net there.
yeah.
But that's one of the things, you know, that for me is has definitely changed.
Nice. And I read somewhere that you've kind of been fascinated with all things David Lynch. You know, where did
Yeah.
that start for you?
Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
Where did that start for you?
Oh, you know what? My first girlfriend introduced me to Twin Peaks.
Okay.
I think Bravo had started doing reruns of it, and that was the first time in since its original airing that I think it had re-aired, and uh, I got so into it. It was just unlike anything I'd seen, and I mean I've seen all of it, you
Yeah.
know, 100 times. The pilot of Twin Peaks, I think, is one of the greatest pieces of television ever done. The first episode, the pilot. Um, Great actors in that show. Great actors in that show. But yeah, so
So would Twin Peaks be kind of your favorite TV project that David has done, or do you have another one that you think is your
yeah,
favorite?
you know, Twin Peaks is definitely kind of was my intro thing. I mean, I've been, you know, I've seen them all except Dune. He kind of practically Alan Smithy Dune, so I
Yeah.
stayed away from Dune. I haven't seen it. But I remember when he did Mulholland Drive, and it was
Yeah.
originally intended as a pilot on television, and it didn't get picked up.
Yeah.
But I remember calling my agent at the time and saying, "I really need to get a tape of this pilot, you know, that didn't get picked up. It's David Lynch directed it. I have to see it. You know, I have to see it." So I remember getting a VHS copy of this pilot and seeing it, and and then it turned into this amazing film. And the process in which it, you know, came from this possible, you know, this pilot of possible miniseries into a film was amazing, and it's kind of amazing what it turned out to be, and what a film.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to see the television version of that pilot. You know, that kind of goes to show the kind of depths of my Lynchian nerdness.
No, well, let's test it with one more question, and then we'll
Okay,
get off that. But
sure.
If they were recasting any of David Lynch's kind of prior projects and they were doing it now, which one of those would you want to be cast in?
Ooh, I think it's got to be Cal McLaughlin in Blue Velvet, his role. But I
Okay,
believe Jeffrey is the character's name.
interesting.
If they ever remade Blue Velvet and David Lynch was involved, and that was it. Oh, that'd be good.
Very cool. All right, let's get to the NCIS. You've been on it for 17 years. It's amazing. But being on the show for so long, how do you come to know your character? And are there ways that you're similar to McGee, or are there ways that you're different?
Well, it's interesting because when you do, I mean, it's insane for an actor to have the opportunity to play the same role, especially on a television show for 17 plus years. It's kind of unheard of. So, I mean, I'm to a point now where I can kind of switch it on and off, but it evolves as the series evolves. You kind of start and you have some ideas, maybe some backstory of the character. For me, it's a lot of vibing it out and kind of feeling my way through it. It either rings true to me or it doesn't. You strive for honesty as much as possible. And you just, as for me, as I go, I usually don't have much of a backstory for my character. I'm going more on instinct when I first go. And, traits of it kind of start to come to me. I start with the general idea of a role, and traits and things start to come as you go. And on a show like NCIS, after so many years, the writers are, begin to know you quite a bit, and they start writing to your strengths, and they sometimes bend things a little more to your personality. And parts of your personality are inhabit that role and make that happen. And it's always evolving. It's always evolving. I think I think, I know I said this earlier, but I think the minute you stop trying, it's bad. The minute you think everything's fine, I think that's when you got to worry. But doing a character for that long, it's really neat. It's just, the writers come up with things, you come up with things. It becomes almost collaborative after a certain point. And like I said, now after 17 years, it's like switching it on like a light switch, to do the character. And I love doing it. I love doing Tim McGee.
Yeah. In terms of, again, just the longevity of it, how do you manage to keep things fresh and exciting and interesting for yourself to play the character?
Well, one thing that's really nice is, and was pretty I was pretty straight with them about this early on, is that I wanted to make sure that there was an evolution of the character. The character started, my character started as a rookie agent, very unsure of himself, not experienced at all in the field. And so, as I grew, the character grew and evolved. And I said to the writers, and they were quick to agree. I don't want to be baby Maggie Simpson every week, and reset at every episode, play the exact same character for 17 years. You've got to, it's got to evolve, and that has actually kept it really interesting for me. It's actually, when I think about, because I've done projects where I've been on, something for 3 weeks and you can't wait to get out of there. It feels like you've been there a year. And I've done this role on this show for 17 years and it's flown by. It really has.
That's
It's got
great.
to be fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. So NCIS has had, an incredible lineup of guest stars. Is there, one or two favorites that really kind of you enjoyed and you learned something from?
Well, we've got RJ, Wagner, who appears, Tony Senior, usually once or twice a year. We love RJ, love having RJ always. Christopher Lloyd was pretty amazing. Bob Newhart was awesome. I really like Lily Tomlin. having
Yeah,
Lily Tomlin play my grandmother was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
very cool. For the actors like myself, because I'm at the co-star level at the moment. So for the actors like myself, what are some of the advices that you would give to that level of people who are coming in as a co-star and have not been on set as large as that? What's some of the advice that you would give?
Just keep your eyes and ears open. Be
Mhm.
observant, and you learn as you go. People are on sets are forgiving as well, because there are frequently actors that work on sets that are not necessarily experienced, at that particular role or that job or that kind of format, and that's not unusual.
Yeah.
So you just do your thing, and have confidence in yourself and your abilities, and uh, you just do your thing, and you'll hopefully go as far as it'll take you. You never know. This stuff is it's not tangible. You can't touch
Yeah.
it, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, it's
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 it's a
true.
funny thing. It's there's always a slight imposter syndrome that goes with acting, I think, because it's almost like every actor at the end of their whatever job they're doing says, "Well, I'm never going to book a job again. I'm never
Yeah.
going to get a job again."
Yeah.
you know, but, then somehow you pull through, or you don't. I don't know.
And are you still at that point? Again, being on the show for 17 years, do you still experience the imposter syndrome?
Uh, Occasionally, but I think that's just me. I think that's just I think that's just some of the butterflies and some of the nervousness that I think is good to have to a certain degree. I think it's important to have that, not to where it overwhelms you and freezes you up to some degree, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, with me, and again, I know people are not watching this so they can hear me talk, but what I found with me at my level is it's kind of a duality. You read for the part and you realize who you're going to be in a scene with, and then there's a part of you that says, "Holy shit!" And then the other part says, "Okay, but I'm a professional and we can do this." And then somewhere you find that medium, and then you do the scene, and then later you go, "Holy shit!" again. I just did that, but it's kind of that settling in process. It's a weird thing that happens.
Yeah, yeah, and it's almost surreal. It's almost like having a little dream sometimes when
Yeah,
kind of work with someone who you're a fan of, maybe, and it's really cool that that's it's a neat opportunity to do that, and that's I think for someone to be able to come in as a co-star, as a guest star, and work with someone like that is a great thing and an advantage. Take advantage of it. Pick their brains. Most For me, it was really freeing to see how kind of grounded and normal a lot of really well-known,
mhm.
celebrated actors are. Really kind of grounded people, and not all highfalutin and stuff like that. That's one of the things I've picked up on. Bet, very down to earth. De Niro, very down to earth. Harmon, incredibly down to earth. It's there's there's a level of humility that's important to have.
Yeah. Well, at this point in your career, again, you're still a very young guy. What would be that, great project, whether it's TV or film? What would it be that you'd really get excited about doing?
Well, seeing as I've done the same role for
Mhm.
seeing as I've been Tim McGee for 17 years, it'd be nice. It'd be fun to visit someone different
Yep.
than McGee, for my next project, whatever that may be. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to do something dark. I would love to do. I mean, obviously, we talked about before. We talked about I'm a Lynch fan, so obviously
Yep.
I'm into the dark stuff.
Yep.
But uh, you know, dark comedy on film, even if it's 30 minutes, one camera, something like that is kind of what I'm looking at. There's so many shows and I can't keep track of them. There's so many things coming out that are really original and unique, and you know, it's good. I think there's some really good content being created. Maybe not right now at this very second,
Right.
you know, with everything kind of on hold. But you know, I think there's some really interesting stuff happening out there that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that content is being written right now.
What exactly that is, I don't know. I can, you know, I one of the things about this business for me in terms of how I approach it, you know, what roles I do, and uh, kind of how I perform and stuff is by gut, you know, kind of where my gut takes me, and what just feels right. And so I've always sort of followed that, you know. So you know, I'm thrilled to talk to you and do this. This is great. I love talking to you here about, you know, acting and whatnot. But there's also a part of me that's like, what do I know about acting? You know, it's funny, and I think it's, I don't know. I think I'll always be that way a little bit. So.
I think so. And again, most of my experience has been outside of acting, and I have a career, and I've had a career for 20 plus years that I'm an expert in. And there is a part of me that
Mm.
kind of happens when I am teaching or I'm consulting, and I'm showing people that this is the answer, and they're coming to me and they're paying me a lot of money to answer those questions. And I'm answering that, and there is a part of me saying, dude, that's you? Okay, got it. So I think whatever profession you're in, it's always going to
Mhm.
happen to you that you'll always be kind of watching from the side and be really impressed and amazed by what is happening down below.
I totally understand what you're saying. I get
Yeah,
it. It's like you kind of supervise your own performance, whatever you're doing.
yeah, it's very very funky, as a matter of fact. But you have two kids. If any of them, as they're growing up, told you that they want to get in the business, is that something that you would support, and what advice you would give them?
Well, you know, it's funny. You know, if you would have asked me about that when my kids were young or before they were born, I would say never ever would I allow my children to act. You know, but
Yep.
you know, ultimately, I want them to be happy. And my daughter is a little actress, whether I like it or not, and I actually do like it very much. It makes her happy, it makes me happy, and she's really good at it. She does, you know, she's young. She's not in the business.
Yeah.
You know, I think we'll wait a little bit before we do that. You know, she's 13, even though I was doing it at that age. I think maybe
Yep.
a little young, but
Mhm.
you know, she does theater, she does Youth Academy of Dramatic Arts. She's done leads in many plays, and she's just great. She's really great. Musical theater is sort of her thing. It's
Yeah.
really her specialty, and it's funny because that's not at all my specialty. But you know, I'm learning through her, and
Mhm.
she's incredible. She's just she'll be. I mean, she's an actress. She'll be doing it. You know, if you're an actor, you're an actor. You got to do it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And if you had
And
a
my
chance,
son, and you know, that's my daughter Caitlin, who's 13. My son River, he's 10. He has no interest in anything like acting. I think he couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean
have,
that's just him. He's a different kind of personality. So.
yeah. I'm a bit of the same as you are. My kids are just a little bit older. My daughter is about to turn 16, and my son is about to turn 11. Son, I thought he would be into acting because he's very theatrical. He loves dancing. He loves being in front of crowds, but he doesn't care.
Right.
It's just that's a part of him. And my daughter is in theater, and she's in music theater, and she has an agent, and this is what kind of she's dabbling in. So we'll find out.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. See, to
Yep.
me, it's what makes them happy. You know, doing like my daughter doing her theater stuff makes her so happy, even if she doesn't get a huge role and she's, you know, doing more background parts and supporting stuff. She loves that. She loves doing all of it,
Yeah.
you know, and it's great to see. It's really nice to see.
Hmm. If you had a chance to talk to a younger version of yourself, when you were 11 or 12 or 15 at that point, what one bit of acting advice would you give yourself at that time?
I remember early on going into the room with
Okay.
casting directors, producers, whatever, to read for roles, and and having this feeling that um, that they were waiting for me to do something wrong. They were waiting for me to fail. I just remember I remember that feeling, and that just might have been me, young, competition, nervousness about it all. But when you go into a room, they don't necessarily know what they want, and they want you to bring whatever you bring that no one else can bring. And the things that make you unique as a person is what makes you unique as a performer and to watch. And if everyone was trying to act like everyone else, it'd be a disaster. It'd be really boring. So I don't know what path I was going down with this. Forgive me again.
Oh, I think it's be yourself, right? Bring yourself to the room, and
Yeah, and they want you to show them something. So it's like go for it. It's like you've got nothing to lose. They don't necessarily know what they want. Maybe they think they know what they want. Maybe they don't. Maybe you can prove to them that their preconceived notions of a role or a character may be are different. I've gone in and been wrong for a role, according to the powers that be, and quickly did a cold read for another role, which was not right for in any way, and ended up getting the role, and everything just sort of shifted. It's funny the way things happen. You never know.
right.
And I've also sometimes you go out for auditions and it'll be the role couldn't be more wrong for you. You don't know whether how your agent sent you out for it, or the casting director got your whatever, but that's an opportunity to form a relationship with the casting director, and they could bring you in on other jobs. And I've done series, uh you know gotten these roles from through casting directors who I'd met for other things. So that you never know what's going to happen. There's opportunities everywhere.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I can't think of a better place to stop on than that. Sean, thank you so much. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with us.
Oh no, it was my pleasure. I hope I was able to add something constructive.
Absolutely, absolutely, you have, and our viewers appreciate it. And thanks to all of you who are watching. We appreciate you tuning in as always. This is the shortest interview that I've ever done, so I hope you appreciate that too, because I keep hearing from people that all of my interviews are way too long since I can't stop talking to everybody. But there you go. This one's for you that wants it shorter. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, guys.